and welcome to The Point World Affairs. I'm Cha Sang-mi. The top agenda of this year's World Economic Forum in Davos was, as expected, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. Today, as a Lunar New Year special of The Point World Affairs, we analyze the current state of this new digital era. For that, we have with us Dylan Saw, the CEO of Volar Creative, also the former Oculus VR co-founder. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me today.
In January this year, the Consumer Electronics Show, which exhibits some of the world's most cutting-edge technologies, was held in Las Vegas. Over the course of 4 days, advanced AI technologies were at the center of attention, signaling to the world that the era of AI has finally begun. Global tech firms including Samsung, LG, and Google were all racing to showcase some of the most advanced technologies that humanity has seen yet. Along with the term AI technology, another key word at this year's CES was 5G. The 5G technology, which can transmit information up to 20 times faster than the existing 4G, is expected to play a major role in the more sophisticated development of AI technologies in the time to come. As such, this next-generation industrial revolution that creates innovative changes in both the economy and society as a whole has become a hot topic for the global community. Ever since the term Fourth Industrial Revolution was first mentioned at the World Economic Forum in 2016, the term has come to represent a new ICT-based industrial era on the international stage. The World Economic Forum held early this year also discussed how this new era of innovation and revolution can affect human life. Advanced communication technologies have emerged as a new growth engine for the world. Not only has it made human life significantly more convenient, it also helped the global economy see a new breakthrough. But at the same time, social problems like killer robots and the loss of jobs for human laborers have emerged as new issues that need to be addressed. On this week's The Point World Affairs, we examine the current state of the Fourth Industrial Revolution that's taking place in countries like the US, China, Germany, and South Korea, as well as the various social issues and possible solutions.
The world has seen 4 industrial revolutions so far. The first came with steam and water, the second with electric power. And now, what is the distinct characteristics of the Fourth Industrial Revolution?
Fourth Industrial Revolution is yet to come. It's not fully defined yet. A lot of people are speculating that it's a time for the Fourth Revolution, and yet we haven't really defined what it is. Where a lot of forums, a lot of communities are discussing what it is, but I don't think there's a definite definition. But if you're asking for my opinion, I would say connectivity and rise of artificial intelligence.
I see. So these are the 2 major components that would probably form the Fourth Industrial Revolution.
Yes, I believe so.
Right. So how about the CES, which took place just a few weeks ago in the early January, the annual event where all the electronics and all new technologies, gadgets are really presented. You yourself have been there. So what really caught your eye? Was there anything special?
Well, there are a lot of interesting technologies out there, but that really caught my eyes was actually a Korean company called the Naver Lab. They were coming with the robotic arms that was controlled by the 5G network. It was very interesting because there wasn't actually the local controller that controls the robot arms, but it was actually controlled by the cloud server where it was located outside of the local area.
I see. And when we talk about these advent of technology, when we think of these exhibitions or shows, we can actually see and expect these advancements to really proceed, but then we can't really feel it in our everyday lives. You know, the commercialization, the pace of it. Do you think it's going well?
I would think so. There isn't really immediate impact to our daily lives yet because the technology has been yet mature. But the way that these technologies are being advanced is very fast. And soon, I think, at least for my next generation, will have a definite impact on their daily lives. Today, I was watching an interesting news today. There was a company called DeepMind, who's responsible for AlphaGo, who beat our Lee Sedol on the go. But they actually developed a new Alpha Star, which is capable of playing StarCraft too. People believe that artificial intelligence will not be able to compete against human being on a real-time strategy game because artificial intelligence has to calculate the human response in real time to compete against the human being. However, the result was 10-1 for Alpha Star.
Wow. So you're saying, is this actually connected to deep learning? So
Yes, Alpha Star has been learning the human play for the last 3 years, and now they're playing against each other among the Alpha Stars to actually enhance their ability much quicker than the human being.
I see. We'll definitely come back to that topic.
Okay.
Right. So let's connect to an expert in Germany for more analysis. Joining us now is Gregory Wheeler, professor of philosophy and computer science at the Frankfurt School of Finance and Management. Thank you for being here, Professor.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Germany is considered a very advanced country when it comes to new technologies. What area or industry is Germany currently most focused on?
So I'd say on pharma and the automotive industry, obviously, and also finance. And automotive industry and finance in particular is getting a lot of attention. So the government current government has announced a €3 billion investment in AI excellence. This goes across the country for all sectors. But what we're seeing, at least with the network of folks that I'm talking to, is the automotive industry and finance in particular is looking at this from top to bottom.
We're talking about the fourth industrial revolution here, and some experts, some analysts say that Germany has entered a mature phase of this industrial revolution. What's the secret?
Well, so I think there's probably pessimism is one role, because I'm not sure that we here in Germany think that we are as advanced in these areas as we think we should be. So, for instance, there's a Davos before the World Economic Forum released a short-term forecast over the next 5 years of what the future job growth would look like and how disruption will affect industries across the board. And so this is concerning AI, but more broadly, the impact of high-speed internet, cloud computing, greater use of big data analytics, and also AI. And in these areas, there's expected to be about 75 million jobs displaced, and about 133 million new roles, if not necessarily new jobs, created. And this is a survey from human resource heads in industries across, representing about 15 million workers. So I say this as background in confronting that next change. So we want to call that digitalization, or the second wave of this transformation that we're seeing. I think the jury's still out in how best Germany will position themselves to confront these changes, but that's true, I think, the world over.
Thank you very much. That was Professor Gregory Wheeler, a cognitive science expert based in Frankfurt. Now, Dylan, what did you think about Professor Wheeler's analysis? Also, do you think it's worthy for us to follow German model of advancement when it comes to technologies?
I think he's got a very valid point. I'm involved in the de facto standard committee called IEEE 802, and one of the big issues that we are dealing with is the low jitter and low latency, which will allow the cloud computing to be much more powerful than the current state. Most of the real-time applications that we see today, because of the network limitation, most of the applications are run on local machines. But if the low latency and low jitter can really happen with the 5G network, we'll start to see all these high-tech calculations will be done on cloud server, which means that it will be much cheaper for the consumers to buy the machines because it's going to be dummy machine, and everything will be stored and actually operated by the cloud network. So those will be applied to smart factories and gamings and all other interesting applications across the industry. So that will also help the artificial intelligence to reshape its capabilities as well. For the second question, whether we should follow or not, I think it's inevitable that we should follow the Germans model because I believe that the productivity and also cost saving that we actually enjoyed during the third revolution has peaked so that in order to achieve another quantum jump, those changes are necessary to actually move forward to.
I understand those smart factories, smart farms, all these kind of smart, really, industries are definitely pushed forward by the Korean government as well. We hear that. But how about 5G technology? Everybody's talking about this. It is going to be commercialized in South Korea this coming March. So why is 5G network so important for the fourth industrial revolution?
5G network is very important for the fourth industrial revolution because of its capability of low latency and low jitter. The cloud service that we have seen today with the 4G network, they're normally storage or somewhat video streaming technology. And we haven't really seen the true capability or true potential of the cloud capability. With the 5G network, we can spend more time on the network side, the server side, and enhance the capabilities of real-time applications from B2B's perspective and invest more on cloud servers so that consumers can enjoy a much cheaper product. For example, if you want to play a video game that requires a lot of graphic capacity, right now you have to invest about $1,000 to $2,000 to actually have really fancy PC for maybe virtual reality gaming. But if 5G network is available today, which will be available soon, then consumers can enjoy very high, sophisticated video games with relatively low-cost machines, about $2 to $300. And you can play the same type of content from very cheap price because the cloud server can provide that capacity.
So that's really good for everyone. It's a win-win situation then.
That's definitely because most manufacturers, AMD, Intel, or NVIDIA, they would rather spend the money on B2B solution than B2C solution because B2C market is very competitive. Everybody needs to cut every dollar from here and there. But for B2B solution, for the companies, they will require not only the powerful machine, but also security and stability. And so they will spend much more money on these machines for more performance and better security, which doesn't actually apply to the consumer market because all consumer wants is a cheaper and powerful machine.
Okay, now let's connect to another expert. We now connect to another expert in Hong Kong. Joining me now is Professor Andy Chun, Professor of Computer Science at the City University of Hong Kong, also the convener for Hong Kong Computer Society's AI Specialist Group. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
60% of the world's investment in artificial intelligence comes from China. Why do you think China is investing so heavily in AI?
I think one of the main reasons is China is moving away from a traditional manufacturing kind of economy to a knowledge-based economy where potentially they would be able to export and sell these products, maybe knowledge in various fields. There is also, they're doing a lot, for example, in smart city, using AI, machine learning, as well as healthcare and then financial services, more of the high value, high-end services and products. That requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of insights, and I think that's where AI, machine learning, and data science is going to play a major role.
And so what are the possibilities of AI being used in the real life as a key technology in the fourth industrial revolution? And also AI will be used the most in what kind of industry this year?
For this year, I think the use of AI and machine learning will be most prevalent in maybe industries such as financial services and healthcare. And what artificial intelligence can do is basically encapsulates decades of human knowledge in the medical domain, and that could be used for checking symptoms that you might have, or providing diagnostic advice to doctors, as well as helping manage chronic illness. So in countries where you have a large population, shortage of doctors, and then maybe particularly an aging population, I think there is no clear way out unless we use AI to make it a affordable and scalable approach.
Thank you. That was Andy Chan, a leading artificial intelligence pioneer in Hong Kong. We go straight to the U.S. Joining me now is Pedro Domingos, professor of computer science and engineering at the University of Washington. Thank you for joining us, Professor.
Thanks for having me.
Is there an AI project that you're working on currently? Tell us about it if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, so one thing I'm working on is unifying the different paradigms in machine learning into a single master algorithm, a grand unified theory of machine learning in the same way that there's one in physics and in other fields, that we can do all of the different AI tasks with. I think we've made a lot of good progress on that. Another thing that I'm working on is, so there's these 5 main paradigms. I'm working on a potential new one, a 6th paradigm, if you will, that will hopefully do the things that the 5 existing ones will still not be able to do even after they unify.
The U.S. has the most number of experts in AI field in the world. Also, it has the second most number of tech companies in the world, just like Seattle, where you're based in, and Silicon Valley. But how far has the U.S. come in terms of these AI technology as of 2019?
AI has made enormous strides in the last decade. The main reason for that is that the original AI paradigm, or at least the one of the AI summer in the 80s, was knowledge engineering, was inputting knowledge by hand into the computer, and that didn't really work. The changing paradigm was to have the knowledge be learned from data using machine learning algorithms. And this, started to gather steam in the 90s, 2000s, but it's really been in the last decade that it's really exploded, largely thanks to this type of learning called deep learning, which consists of emulating the brain, right? The way, our brains learn. Our brains are the greatest learning machines in the universe. And so what we do is we reverse engineer them and create learning algorithms that work like the brain does. And now there's been all these successes in things like speech recognition, translation, image understanding, search, you name it.
There are a lot of concerns from people that these advancement of technology will actually abuse the current industries and people, such as job losses and the creation of killer bots that people are talking about. What do you think about this phenomenon?
AI is a very powerful technology. And like every technology, it can be used for good and it can be used for bad. And there are opportunities and there are dangers. And I think we want to seize the opportunities and make sure we hold the dangers at bay. Having said that, I think that a lot of the things that people are worried about, with AI and that are in the media a lot, are really not the important dangers. They're more the science fictional ones, like this idea of killer bots coming and killing people, like the Terminator. AI experts don't really believe this is a realistic scenario. AIs and robots are very different from human beings. And I think this fear stems largely from confusing them with people. They don't have consciousness or free will or emotions or those things that people have. So I think that's less of a danger than people think. In terms of job losses, I think there's certainly something to be concerned there. I think some jobs will be reduced and may even disappear because of AI. But it's important to remember that there will also be a lot of new jobs created, not just in existing professionals, but in new professions. There are a lot of jobs today in the world that didn't exist 200 years ago, right? AI is just a continuation of automation, and automation hasn't caused a mass unemployment so far. I think the bigger problem is that there actually is not a shortage of jobs. At least in the US, most companies say they can't fill the positions that they have available. The problem is that there's a mismatch between the jobs available and the qualifications that existing workers or unemployed people have. So I think a lot of effort in terms of retraining and preparing people for new careers and continuing education is important. Also, I think more than jobs being gained or lost, the most important effect of AI is that we are all going to do our jobs with the help of AI. Some of the tasks in my job I can do with AI, some I will do myself, and every one of us needs to understand AI and be figuring out how we want to use AI.
Thank you. That was Professor Pedro Domingos from University of Washington. Now, Dylan, what did you think about the analysis of the two experts from the two tech giants in the world, really China and the US? They raised some interesting facts about the use of AI.
If you look at the company perspective or any industry perspective, AI will be really helpful to their growth of current industry, because every industrial revolution has been trying to solve two major economic questions. One is productivity, and the other one is cost saving. So people are always asking how to increase the current productivity, whether it's to produce a large amount of quantity or improve the quality. And the second question is, how can we save the money for doing that? So for industry's perspective, if they can save a lot of money and produce more quality, a better quality and more quantity, definitely artificial intelligence would be a very important tool. In terms of consumer perspective, though, I have a really mixed feeling about their analysis, because although people are saying it's a science fiction sort of worrying, but the way that I saw how DeepMind produced AlphaStar to compete against human being on a real-time strategy game, that's a war game, actually, because you're competing against one player to another. How to control your soldiers to attack the other region, and also how to manage your resources to do that. I mean, that's basically a war game. You're actually controlling computer game, but if you actually apply to real robots, if you go to military, then that's a different story. I mean, AI is already approaching to that level, and we can't completely neglect the possibility of Terminator showing up, in my opinion. It could be a very, distinct future from it, but it's something that we shouldn't actually neglect.
Let's look at a little bit of the global perspective of proportion of wealth and technology. When we look at China and the US, they are definitely the largest economies in the world, but at the same time, they're the leaders of the technological advancements as well. So a lot of people worry that concentration of these advancements are in these two countries, and it will take away opportunities from other nations. What do you think?
I would say that's half true and half false. Of course, when all the technology is concentrated in two distinctive areas, then all those proprietary technology would belong to those two countries. And all the other countries who need to use those technology will be bound by that technology. So in that sense, we may have to pay a lot of money to use those technology. But at the same time, those are just technology, those tools. So the products that can be produced by those tools are a different thing. People can be very creative to create byproducts of those tools. For example, Apple has produced something called iPhone. And iPhone has been one of the most successful smartphones out there. And we're all paying high price to buy the latest and greatest Apple products. But all the applications that are being produced for iPhone is a different thing. There's many different interesting applications developed by Germany, Korea, Japan, and China. So the opportunities that the countries that don't have those proprietary technologies, but will have new chances to develop other side of the industry.
So you're saying that these two countries can be the platform of new opportunities for other nations to participate?
I wouldn't say I want them to be the platform.
Right.
If there's other countries who can take step forward and take some pie out of their market share, that's good. But I don't think we should really worry about those two countries being more advanced than the other countries, because I think it's a good advancement for betterment of the humankind.
I see. And before I let you go, let's talk about South Korea's direction of the fourth industrial revolution. President Moon has actually been calling for a lot of deregulation efforts on those new technologies. What are some of the directions we should take?
When there's new interesting technologies come out, it's got to be disruptive. It will be influencing some of the traditional industries because they'll be affected by the new technology. So people who are involved in those traditional technology or traditional industries will be very unhappy. For instance, we have a very strong Uber case where shared rides are prohibited in Korean economy. And yet, I take Uber all the time whenever I go to the Europe or America. So these are just inevitable changes that we have to face today. Imagine that if you have SoCar, which is car sharing, but not automated, but with the artificial intelligence added, then people will not be owning a car, in my opinion, because they will just summon the car with their application on the phone. It will be just arriving in your doorstep. You just take the car and then go to your destination, get out, and then the car will take another guest. You don't have to worry about the parking, maintenance cost, fuel cost. It will be purely electric. So I think those will solve a lot of the problems that we see today, even the air pollutions.
Right, changes are scary for the traditional industries, but we will definitely need to take these changes, and we'll keep an eye on these developments. Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you very much for having me.
We hope that 2019 can be the year of takeoff for the fourth industrial revolution that's taking place around the world. That's all we have for this week's Lunar New Year special edition of The Point World Affairs. Thank you for tuning in, and see you again next week.